Welcome back to my channel. Mariah Monetize here, and today is the beginning of a sweepstakes and contest series where I give you all of the insight from how I won over $1 million of cash and prizes. So the question is, are sweepstakes a scam? We're going to be getting into that today, and I am going to be helping you figure out if what you are receiving is a scam email or a scam phone call, or if it's the real deal, if you are an actual real prize winner. So just to answer the question straight out, no, sweepstakes and contests are not a scam. Every year, over $5 million are given away in prizes. This ranges from trips, cars, electronics, everything you can possibly think of. And some of my favorite things, experiences that you can't quite buy, like maybe walking the red carpet at the Grammys, which is something that I have done twice. So let's get into it. We're going to be going through the ways that you can figure out if it is a scam or not. So there's two different kinds of people. There's people that never enter sweepstakes. So if you're not entering a sweepstakes, you should not be receiving a call or an email that you won a sweepstakes, because that would make absolutely no sense. But for someone that does consistently enter sweepstakes, you should be anticipating to receiving potentially an email, less likely a phone call though, that you have won a sweepstakes. So as someone who did sweepstaking for years, I would always double check every time I received a notification that I had been the winner of a sweepstakes or contest. Sometimes I would forget certain sweepstakes that I would enter just because I would enter so many, but most of the time it was pretty clear whether it was a scam or not. So if you get contacted that you won a prize for something that you did not enter, it's most likely a scam. Another way that you could figure out if it's a scam situation is if you are being contacted to send funds. No money should ever be needed to claim a prize. The only thing that you should potentially have to pay for is getting a document notarized. So there are many situations where if your prize is valued at $600 or more, the promoter of the sweepstakes will send you a document that you need to notarize, and then you sometimes email it back or send it back, and that's how you're able to get your prize. So you do have to maybe spend between $10 and $20 to get a document notarized. And you might be in a situation where you saw the email late and you have 3 days to respond and you need to overnight a document. I have been in that situation before. So in that case, the prize was worth so much that it was beneficial for me to pay an extra $20, $30, $40 to overnight these documents to the people that were ultimately running the sweepstakes. It's also important to understand that if you enter a sweepstakes and you are a winner, sometimes you'll be contacted by the actual company themselves, and other times you'll be contacted by basically like a promotion company. So sometimes a company will hire an agency to run the sweepstakes for them. They basically create the marketing plan, they create the rules, all of the documents, and then they also contact the winners at the end, and they distribute the prizes as well. Another way it could potentially be a scam is if they are requesting the taxes up front. So ultimately, if you win a prize, and let's say, for example, you win a $1,000 check, what's going to happen is you're going to get a 1099 for $1,000, and that's going to go down as miscellaneous income. But the thing is that they will send you the $1,000 check, and then they'll send you the form at the end of the year, so then when you complete your taxes, then you'll go ahead and pay the difference. And so if they also ask you to pay the taxes up front, it's also likely that it is a scam. It might be a scam if they use terms like you are automatically entered to win a sweepstakes, and typically that is not the case. I know there are some certain situations. I remember like seeing a promotion from like my credit card company saying like, oh, if you spend this amount at this location, you know, then you're automatically entered to win a prize. That's typically not the case, and the odds of those are massively unlikely, but that should be a huge red flag if the term automatically entered is ever used. So don't call back numbers with the area code 876, 809, or 284. And this information is provided by AARP. So these phone numbers are identified as foreign, and those particular area codes belong to Caribbean countries that have become hotbeds for contest frauds. So they might be masking a pay-per-call service, the equivalent of a 900 number in the United States, that enable the number's owner to change a hefty per-minute fee, which you won't discover until you get your next phone bill. That is information provided by AARP, something that I particularly had never encountered, and I know that usually the elderly are targets of these sort of situations. Another way you could see if it's a scam is just to check the email. So what you can do is you can actually look at the email address. And so let's say, for example, that I want something from Clorox, and the email should be at Clorox.com. But if it's a promotion company that is handling the sweepstakes, then it might be that particular company. So in those cases, what I would do is I would look up that particular company. So let me give you a great example. So here is an example of my dad winning a prize from Omaze. So you can see here that it actually is titled the Virtual Reward Center. So it's reward at virtualrewardcenter.com. When I open up the email, I see it's Omaze. You won something awesome. So my dad here won a $25 Starbucks e-gift card. And so basically he entered to win a 4x4 Sprinter van. So basically he knows that he entered this actual sweepstakes. So it's very simple. He just clicks redeem my reward, and then he now has a $25 Starbucks e-gift card that he could upload to his Starbucks account. So this is kind of confusing though, because it doesn't say it's technically from Omaze, but you could do something like this. You could copy and paste that into your computer bar. So I did a quick Google search about Virtual Reward Center, and I see here that there's a forum on quickbooks.intuit.com that talks about it, and I trust QuickBooks and I trust Intuit, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a bit of a double check here to see what they say about this website. So here's a response. Basically someone said, did you participate in any survey or research study? If so, they usually send a Visa gift card as a reward. So basically what this just tells me is that Omaze uses this website to just handle sending out the virtual gift card. So I know that I entered the Omaze sweepstakes. I know that was one of the prizes, and I was able to download that successfully, and I had no issues. So I knew for sure that that one particularly was not a scam. Another way you could figure out if something is potentially a scam is if you receive a check in the mail. So if you receive any sort of a check from a sweepstakes, they're going to email or call you prior in most cases, and they typically don't just send you a check outright. You typically have to file some paperwork, some follow-up paperwork after winning it. So definitely don't go trying to cash those checks, especially if it looks unfamiliar and you didn't enter that particular sweepstakes. Also, if you're instructed to wire money, that's a huge red flag. Like I said, they should never be asking for you to send them any sort of funds before you can claim your prize. If they ever request a bank account number or credit card information or any very personal information to deposit your prize, that is also definitely a scam. Also, another way to figure out if it's a scam is if the person contacting you does not have your personal information, like your email address or your phone number or your last name, or doesn't have your name at all. That is also a huge red flag, because when you enter these sweepstakes, you typically have to give your information. If you're in a situation where you're really not sure if you actually entered that sweepstakes, go ahead and ask, what is the name of this sweepstakes? Every single sweepstakes has a name or a title. Ask them the company that is particularly giving away that prize, because you could easily just do a Google search and see if that sweepstakes is valid and see if it's familiar and one that you entered. So I hope you found this video very helpful. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up button, subscribe. I am looking forward to doing this entire series and teaching you a lot more about sweepstakes and contests, because I think it's a really cool way for particularly young people to get into like the world of entrepreneurship and learning about different sweepstakes, how they work. And what's cool about it is in the process, you can learn about how, if you have a business, how sweepstakes can actually benefit your business. So That's all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.